First off, are you going to record this call or we're going to record this?
We've got it all ready for you.
Okay, that's
We're live
awesome.
recording.
What time is it there, by the way? Where you're at right now?
It is 1 o'clock in Salt Lake City or Phoenix time, so
Right.
it's a little
That's
later for you.
that's that's like 9 hours from us.
Yeah, wow.
Um,
Get everyone to stay late, huh?
I mean, we work like this all the time because we practically deal with U.S. clients and European clients, and it's just like
Oh, right.
complete everywhere. So, um, yeah, man, I've been the place I've gotten you from is I've been at the affiliate summit or something in New York, and
Yeah,
I've kind of like got a little bit of glitch of you, and I thought what you're doing is interesting, and it's a perspective that I clearly don't have.
yeah.
I'm a little bit more of the action person, just like going and doing and figuring it out after that.
Hmm.
Um, so I like your perspective. So from that point, I was like, I need to have this person actually look at what we're doing and see if it's actually improvable. Um, what you see here as the team is not my current team, as I don't redo the shoot every single time somebody joins or leaves.
Of course.
Um, but we're like 9 people right now and growing. We focus on a lot of Facebook advertising, mostly for e-commerce companies.
Okay.
Um, we do a lot of other stuff, like we help them with their branding and video production and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, but mostly we work with e-commerce companies. So that's kind of our market. And um, this is our website, what you're looking at right now. We don't really use it for anything right now. We're going to have the website rebuilt to sustain content starting 2017.
Okay.
As of right now, it's like a presentation website that we just have, but none of our clients actually come through our website.
Right.
All come through referral or direct connection uh, or anything like that. So um, do you want me to go in kind of what we're looking for, or do you have like questions? I don't know how you usually proceed with these calls.
So we like to spend the first 5 or 10 minutes talking about your strategy. And like
Mm-hmm.
we showed you earlier, we define strategy as the combination of your goals, content, and target. So yeah, go ahead and let us know what your goal is and what you see fit, and I'll ask some questions as we go.
Mm-hmm. So what our strategy is for 2017 is in terms of direct connection to Increased Media, which is our agency. We're going to start putting a lot more content on Increased Media as a brand, and me as myself, I'm going to start building a personal brand that's kind of the Gary Vee kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's going to indirectly generate clients, connection, and all of that.
Right.
My brand myself, it's connected to Increased Media, but it's not going to be like a pitch. It's not going to be like I'm going to brag every single video about my agency. It's going to be indirect, and that's just how I want to do it.
Of
In
course.
terms of what I want to do with Increased Media is like we have a ton of case studies. We have a ton of successful campaigns and clients and amazing clients and all this stuff. So we got to put those out there. That's kind of what we're seeing at right now.
Yep.
What you're looking at right now, Mike Greenfields, this is kind of a client that we have, and it's kind of the same model as Dollar Beer Club or Dollar Shave Club.
Okay.
Um, it's a really enjoyable client to work with because these are really like purpose people. You know, they're doing this with a purpose.
Uh-huh.
This is a SaaS company that you're looking at. I don't even know if I've updated those clients in a while, but anyways. So kind of our strategy, what we're looking at is we have successful campaigns. We know what we're doing pretty much, of course,
Yeah.
every time there's stuff to improve. But what we lack in is not that we don't have successful results. We have successful results, but we cannot duplicate them. And it's really hard for me to not do the campaigns myself
Mm.
and still have great results. So
Right.
kind of I was watching one of your videos and you gave the McDonald's example. Every
Mm.
single time you go into McDonald's, they still give you amazing French fries,
Yes,
even though it's not the same person doing them. So
that's right.
that's what we lack. We lack something or some way or someone or some whatever that will take our processes and will take our results and decompose them into repeatable actions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're looking for. If you can give us some direction, resources, guide, whatever,
Yeah.
because you seemed like a lot like I'm a completely unorganized guy as myself. And I have amazing people around me. I try to get as many amazing people around me that are organized,
Yeah.
that can see structure, can see steps. I don't see steps. When I buy an IKEA chair, I cannot put it together. I have to figure it out. I cannot watch instructions.
Yeah.
So that thing, it's great, but in regards to scaling, it's not that effective
Mm-hmm.
because I have to be doing everything. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And yeah, tell me what your thoughts.
You are in the typical situation of someone who is very knowledgeable, very passionate, drives results because of your expertise, has
Yes.
hired a few people who are great people, but then you have scaling issues because you don't have process, you don't have consistency across the people. It's the McDonald's example. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's certain aspects of software or other things that can help you drive reliable results. And at the same
Yes.
time, you're because you have driven success in certain areas because you have the expertise to be able to troubleshoot but don't have that logic written down. When you
Mm-hmm.
get referrals, they come in unstructured, and so then you have to come in at the beginning and figure out what has to happen and then hope that other people can follow through on the different components of what you appear to offer, which is SEO or Facebook ads or website
Mm-hmm.
optimization or like whatever those different things are. And then that becomes unsustainable because every project becomes a unique thing. And I'm not saying that because no client wants to believe that they have a cookie cutter execution, right? Because then it's like, what, I
Yeah.
thought you guys are unique and special. And why are you doing the same robotic thing? I get a large French fries every time. And that's not the way to think of it. The way to think of it is like a Tesla is like a Model X Gullwing is actually a template because it came down a factory and there are many of them that are made like it, and that's how you deliver consistent results. Just because something
Mm-hmm.
is repeatable in a factory-ish kind of way doesn't mean it's low quality. It means it's reliable. And it's the combination of
Yes.
these things that matter. So what you have to do, and I forgot the other part I wanted to mention was so that's kind of the execution and the scaling and delivering consistent results based on checklists. So everything we have is
Mm-hmm.
checklists, and what we had said prior to the call was that as part of this, not only do we want to like coach you on the strategy, but we want to give you our checklists on how we create content. Because when we create content in a certain way, we're just it's something we call content checklist software, right? So
Right.
there's content that we create that is proving that we absolutely kick ass. So I'll
Right.
give you an example. And the fact that you're doing this with e-commerce companies is great because you can further niche that out and have a repeatable process. So I want to spend 5 minutes to talk about content checklist software in that sequence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So content is you take your existing clients and they're happy and all, like we were looking at these ones here, right? They're all kind of different. They sell different things, but it doesn't matter because you're going to identify what the common thread is across these guys, right? There's something that
Mm-hmm.
you do in combination that is basically your intellectual property. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, we follow the 6-phase process, as you know, right? What we call the social
Yeah.
amplification engine. And then we have
Yeah.
content that proves that our stuff works because we put this stuff out here, right? And we have tons of proof this is not a sales brochure. This is saying this is how we use Facebook ads. We drive custom audiences. Custom audiences then turn into sales, and we, create campaigns in a certain way, and so when we do
Right.
something like this gives us more sports teams that come in. Obviously, they do because then they see it's on AMA. They see that Facebook puts out a guide here saying, "Hey, this is called the Lighthouse Client, right? A Lighthouse Client is you can have many of them, but you always want to start with one. Lighthouse
Right.
Client's the one you talk about all the time, right? And then they
We
see
have tons of
like
these.
this, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have a different, obviously, a Lighthouse Client in e-commerce and you're going to have different publications that you're going to put it on. If you want to be known for Facebook ads, then you need to have Facebook say it. If you want to be known because you do Shopify, then you need to have Shopify say it. And you see why I'm saying this, right?
Right.
For the authority. You have to have authority. And
Yep.
every one of these tools that you work with, every platform, every network, all of them are hungry for examples and step by step. And they're not looking for testimonials. They don't want, oh, increased media is so good. Like, that is useless. No one cares.
Right.
What you want to know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what you do. And some people
Mm-hmm.
take a checklist with a listicle. You know, a listicle is like the 6 ways on how you can get more done, or how to sleep less, or how to increase your conversion rate. Or you understand the difference between a checklist and a listicle, right?
A listicle doesn't show you how to get the end result.
Yes, a listicle is just like, oh, 10 things I really like about Matthew. Like, okay, well,
Right.
but a checklist has steps. And we like to use the hospital analogy. So if we shift from the McDonald's, the French fries are good every time, even if they're not paying attention, or there's all these controls to make sure the French fries are always good. If we shift from the food analogy to the medical, hospital, emergency room analogy, that's actually my favorite analogy. And it goes like this. You have patients that come into the emergency room. You didn't go out there and knock on everybody's doors, because your surgeons, their time way too valuable, right? They come to you. That's inbound marketing. So they come to you in
Mm-hmm.
the emergency room, and they have pain. Their pain is
Mm-hmm.
they're not converting very well. They're wasting money on AdWords. They hired somebody to do PPC, and they don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, they're
Mm-hmm.
busy trying to run their business, and these other things happen. You're talking to the owner, or whoever, right? Head of marketing, depending on how big they are. And they say, oh, I'm in trouble, I'm in pain. And then you come in and you diagnose what's going on. You say, okay, because you're wearing your white lab coat. You're not a salesperson. You're not there to spend an hour to explain what you do, because they're out shopping for different agencies. You don't have anybody who walks into the emergency room and says, hey, I want you to bring every doctor you have out front here, and each of them spend 5 minutes telling me that, oh, this one does heart surgery, this one does brain surgery, this one does, takes your blood pressure. Like, not going to do that, right? Because in a hospital,
Right.
you control the process. You control what happens. You control the pricing and the expertise. And so if you follow this, the reason hospitals are so efficient is it seems kind of take it or leave it, but this is how it is. If you want to work with the experts, you came here, you have seen what we have done. You've seen that we have expertise. We've done, there's no need for us to prove to you that we're good. And
Right.
there's no need to negotiate on the price.
Right.
People don't want to talk about. Now there's a little bit of this offshore thing. Like if you're not in the U.S., then they think, oh, I can probably get these guys for like $20 an hour, something like that. But if you have these high
Hmm.
profile pieces and you have a process, then it's very clear, because then you follow this thing we call metrics analysis action, which is you bring them in, you onboard them with some kind of strategy or something where you've indoctrinated them on a certain process. And so that's what
Mm-hmm.
we do here, right? So we have, let's see, I like this one here. I'll just open like this one, okay? So we publish things like this for the sports teams, and we literally document our process. And you have to be okay with publishing things. It's not like, oh, I'm going to publish this stuff, and now they're going to know what our process is, and they're not going to want to hire us. I promise you, the exact opposite is what happens.
I don't worry about that at all. I know the psychology there. I understand that.
Oh
So
man,
yeah.
I'm telling you, look, this is how we make ads for the Golden State Warriors. It's just to continue this one example, right? So there's a little bit here like saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's important, and then we go straight into the checklists. And we say it's the same 6 phases, plumbing, goals, content, targeting. And then we demonstrate how we go through all these different things, setting up the pixels, running the ads in a certain way. We
Mm-hmm.
name the conventions, how we stick it in Dropbox, or like all of these things, right? Like we're actually
Mm-hmm.
showing this is how we do it, right? So
Right.
when you choose these guys, choose one, maybe two, as your Lighthouse client, document how you did it, publish articles. Of course, you don't just say, use them, without their permission or whatever, but actually you want their permission, because you couch it from the standpoint of, this is really good PR for you guys. We would like to submit you for an award, or, we want to interview their owner saying, wow, what is it about, what you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you make them look good. You make it all about them, and you put it on
Right.
a high profile site. You like whoever, like Google has a blog, Shopify has a blog. Facebook has a blog.
And how do you get posted on those blogs? Because we have case studies for this. We have not posted them yet, but we have testimonials, case studies. We have it documented a bit, maybe improved, of course. But how do you get, because it's completely different to post this on our website and then
Yeah,
promote that
yeah.
versus,
You're right. You're right. So this is the catch-22. Right? If you're not just going to start. It's not like Facebook's going to say, "Oh yeah, hey Matthew, give me this stuff," and then we'll just go ahead and post it on our blog, right?
right, right.
So what you have to do is have a content library, and you start with things that are of like small or medium importance, and then you
Mm-hmm.
start to amplify that with $1 a day so that other people, like, you're not going to start out with, digital marketer or CNN, or you're not going to start off with Forbes, and you're not going to get those ones. So you start with ones that are medium, and then the people who work at Social Media Examiner or Google or whatever, they'll see that, and then they, because you retweet their stuff, or because you have built your personal brand and built relationships with these other people, they will naturally know who you are, and people will talk about it if your content is good.
Right.
So
And do we do that from our like increased media page, or do I do that from my personal Facebook page and then you know what I mean?
well,
Like, is it an agency or a person? Because you seem to be
yeah,
doing both,
yeah.
and yeah,
So because you guys don't, you're not, a well-known publisher sharing case studies and all that, you have to start with building your personal brand. Okay.
right,
And once you have enough of these case studies, you can build other figureheads within your company, or elevate clients as figureheads. Because some of them, they might not want to speak on webinars and conferences, and sometimes they're like that. Like e-commerce, they're sometimes more like that because they're afraid that someone's going to copy them. Like, in the affiliate space, there's a lot of
of
people who
course.
are always afraid of this. I'm really not concerned about this happening, because people, biggest thing is 99% of people don't execute, so it doesn't even matter if they know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Believe me, the work, it's all in the work. Okay, it's not the secret. All right.
yeah,
So if you have, yeah. So to your question, yeah, start out with your personal brand on your blog, and then you need to have a public figure page. So
yeah. I have that.
okay, so
The thing is,
yeah,
um, just let me tell you what I'm looking to build with my personal brand so that you understand what I'm thinking. The thing what I will do with my personal brand is I'm building kind of that Gary V uh, figure, like a lot of vlogging, a lot of traveling, business tips, marketing, psychology, all that stuff.
right.
Do you think that fits to also post about this stuff on the same blog, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying
No, it's
to feel
very
the gist of it.
difficult to follow Gary Vee, because he does that so much, and the techniques that got him famous don't work today anymore. And so that's why
Right,
he can talk about these things. I know Gary. He knows me. We talk about things.
right.
And you've got to choose a niche. Like this whole like social media expert who goes around and is famous. There's only a few people that the market can sustain, only a few people that do this, right?
Right.
So what you've got to do is choose. Like, you are the e-commerce whisperer. You're the Facebook whisperer for anyone that's selling physical products on Amazon, or who uses Shopify, or like, you need to choose a niche based on your Lighthouse client. And then when you mix in content, as in like how to 1, 2, 3, 4 checklist content, with the stuff that you're traveling and you're speaking and whatever, then your personality will start to take off. And so what I've done here, you can see I'm logged in
Mm,
on my public figure page.
right.
I'm primarily putting things out there that appear to be high authority. So here I'm keynoting at a conference with a couple thousand people. This kind
Right.
of thing. So people see stuff like this and they think, oh wow, it's really impressive. So they click like, and then they're more likely to watch the video, or do this other stuff. And then I'll do things like this. Literally, I'll just take a few screenshots and I'll say something, and then all these people will come in. I'll try to boost it too if I can. And I try to do more of the business stuff on my public figure page, and personally, and then of course At conferences, I'm taking pictures with people who are famous, right? And I'm boosting that to other famous people, right? But all
Mm,
these pictures. And then there are friends of ours that have expertise in the world of Facebook ads, for example, and then we interview them, and then we boost it, of course, and we boost it to the right
right.
audience. So if you see articles like this, think of yourself less as like, oh, I'm famous, Gary Vee, because Gary is all about himself being famous. All you hear is him talking about himself. You never hear how other people have followed his techniques and therefore become successful. You never hear that because he has no
Right.
checklist. It's just all about his own celebrity. I like him because you have to give him credit, right? There's only so many people that can be famous for being famous. Paris Hilton, these kinds of people, Kim Kardashian.
Right.
There's only a few people. But, I'm not going to say it publicly, but I kind of detest people who are all about them, where the name of their company is their name. And it's like, if we call this thing Dennis Yu International, how pompous would that sound, right? It's not scalable as a company. Now, Gary's
Because it's
cool
Dennis Yu
because,
International.
yeah, just oh yeah, Dennis, you global universe. Like, no, I'm not going to play that game. So stupid. Just don't play the
Global
part
universe.
because on social media you can play this bullshit, right? So
Yeah.
just don't because your clients, if you want to make, if you like Gary, he's trying to become famous and he's putting books out there. And okay, fine. If you want to be a personal brand and go that way and keynote speak, and you want to speak in front of as many people as you can, and all you do is live on an airplane and speak at conferences, which I'm almost at that point, and I'm trying it's like the edge of the waterfall. I'm trying not to go off the edge of the waterfall. I'm trying to like paddle very quickly to the side, otherwise I'm gonna go off the edge, and then it's too late. Like he's already gone off
Right.
the edge. It's too late for him, right? And it's not a good thing to go off the edge of the waterfall. I promise you, it is not a good thing. I know a lot of people who have gone down that. It looks glamorous, but it is not glamorous. It's not what you think it is, right? It'll kill you. So
Hmm.
here, I'm establishing authority because I'm writing on a high authority site for PubCon. This is the one that all the SEO people know about, right? It's the big conference for SEO people and
Right.
author. And I'm interviewing other people that either I'm biased, of course, but I don't disclose that my bias here. I'm interviewing
Right.
customers. I'm interviewing friends of ours. I'm interviewing people that are on our team, and I'm acting like a journalist, where it says,
Right.
"Hey, here's a question. Oh, here's an answer. Oh, here's a question." And if these people are actually knowledgeable, like this is actually pretty cool. Like if you read through this, I was like, "Oh wow, dang! I didn't realize like with Power Editor you could do these certain things, right? Wow, I didn't know that."
Right.
And to be able to behave like a publication, because you have to run your business and you have to manage your team and you have to deal with clients and you have to do all these things. Like, how do you have more time to now create all this content? Because you can't go out and hire like 5 more people. Like, that's ridiculous. How do you do it
Right.
with limited time, but also not create garbage content? Because the biggest bane of agencies is their content sucks so bad for all the reasons that we talked about, right? So the
Right.
way you get
Right.
around it is you start with your process. And then what we have is processes on how we do all these different things. Like this one here, this digital plumbing guide, this is 80 pages, you can see, right?
And how do you create these? Like
Yes, yes. So let me go back to
what?
what I was
What?
originally telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when I said content checklist software? That's the
Okay.
key thing. That's our theme for this call. We'll have a follow-up call because we did a 2-for-1, I think. Or
Right.
whatever it is, I had the idea that I want to see you succeed, and I know we can't do it in one meeting because I want to see you take action after this call, and
Hmm.
then we're going to come look at what you made. So
Right.
this one, the idea of content checklist software is that your content is based on your direct execution. So as you're executing, like you can see here, we have these. So here's a summary checklist, right? Here's all these things, and then because the Google Tag Manager and Facebook Pixels and all these different things, right?
Right.
Then we have this detail, and this goes step by step, right, through all these
And
different pieces here.
and who? First off, how do you create these? And second, what's the type of person that creates these? Because the way I see it, I should be creating these because I'm probably the only person that knows exactly how to do this. But I don't think in steps. So
Yeah,
it's really hard for me to actually like decompose everything into actual steps.
yeah,
So how do you go about creating like a guide like this in
yeah.
the first place?
There's two ways to do it, and it depends on whether you're doing kind of the small nimble thing or the team approach. We believe and another principle we call learn, do, teach. And that anyone who's writing an article should be able to, write from experience. And anyone who's doing this stuff, who's senior, who is optimizing campaigns and building websites and like doing whatever, if they're going to be training up other people on their team, then they they have to have a process, because you can't train up, you can't scale unless there's something you can show other people. Otherwise, you and the senior people on your team have to sit down every time and repeat the same thing over and over and over again. You have no scalability. You might as well just do personal training, but then you're not even being paid to train your internal people, and it's costing you money. The only people that
Right.
you should be willing to sit down and train are those that pay you, like clients, because
Right.
clients can afford to not read your documentation because they're paying you lots of money, right? Hopefully you charge enough money for it to be worthwhile. And
Mm-hmm.
and so the execution, I know this is sort of a stretch. You're not going to go from here from where you are to this kind of thing like in one day, but consider that there should be nothing that your agency does that is not governed by a checklist. Look at all the execution that you have right now and say which of these things are done by a checklist. If it's not, either you need to create a checklist, like make a list of the things you need to create a checklist on, or you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you keep doing these things that are not governed by a checklist, then you are creating risk of non repeatable, success. You know what I mean?
Right. And these checklists, kind of the definitions of them would be a repeatable process made of steps that can be repeated by somebody else
Yeah.
who is not trained.
Yes, and so we like to think about this in terms of strategy, concepts, and tactics. I know we're covering like lots of stuff, so you have the recording. You can go through
Yeah.
it later. I'll send you the lists, and we can
Yeah.
always have a follow-up call. But the idea of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
strategy, concepts, and tactics are strategy is like the general understanding, and that's
Right.
like, okay, what is inbound marketing, and how does that tie into measurement and lead gen, and how do you behave differently? What is the difference between search and social? That's like strategic concepts, right?
Right.
Then you have concepts, which are, all right, here's remarketing as a concept, and
Right.
this is like remarketing audiences and whatever. And then the tactics are checklist level, like this is how you click on this and click on that and do this, like super tactical. And
Mm-hmm.
most people,
Okay.
when they create training and checklists, they don't know the difference between the super tactical click here screenshot stuff with like the overall understanding things that are conceptual and all the way up to strategic, right?
Okay.
You have to understand the difference between those, because if you try to mix them all together, if you try to mix the tactical click here, click there with the, oh, here's why search and social work together, like you won't be able to do both in the same document. So
Yes.
what we do is we have a series of internal training videos that we have inside our academy, and we also have in our YouTube channel. And they go through how to do these different things. We have hundreds of videos, which we're happy to give you access to. And you make
Right.
your own, of course, too. But let me show you. I'll click on ours, and you'll see that we have all kinds of trainings. Like here's one on how do you do AMP, right? Like the strategy
Right.
behind AMP. It's an internal training, and we've built tools. So we demonstrate how to use our tools. We demonstrate how to do an audit. This is the kind of thing that if you were to go to a conference session, you would see. Like this is what you would want to see, right? This stuff here in green, these are comments. See, and you can see we're going through it. Right? Search is a feed too. These are both algorithmically driven. And you can see, right, this goes on and on. What you do on the site, because we
Right.
add it, because so you've got to have this stuff document. Now you're not going to, you're trying to change the tire in a car that's already running. So you can't just like stop everything that you're doing right now because you have clients and people and things going on. But you've got to
Mm-hmm.
allocate like 15, maybe even 20% of your time into documenting. And it's not for the sake of creating bureaucracy. Like, don't think like, oh, okay, now we're just going to create documents for the sake of creating documents. Like, you're creating documents because everyone else should be using them. And it's not because you're also like the police and you're trying to like make all these extra regulations and bureaucracy. You're doing it because
Right.
people need to know how to execute, and then your core DNA and how you do stuff. Like what we have here, like this, we run our company based on this. Like, I would think, Matthew, that your processes would follow this same thing. And have you, like, I know we talked about this like super briefly at Affiliate Summit, but Look, plumbing.
Hmm.
What client coming in do you not want to establish plumbing so you can like track everything and run ads and
All
everything?
of them, yeah.
Obviously, you need this. Like how can you logically not start with plumbing? You have to, because if you don't have plumbing,
Yeah.
then you can't have goals. You can't measure your goals. If your pixels are not in the right place and you don't have conversion tracking, then you can't say, oh, I need a cost per sale of less than $20 on this product, or I need an ROAS of this, or I need to sell this many of
Right, right.
that.
Of
Like,
course.
yeah, and then, therefore, if you have the goals, then you say, hey, well, we need content. Okay, we need video. We need articles. We need product reviews. We need, whatever it is. And we need to sell more of the dog toy, then I need content about the dog toy, right? I mean, it's obvious, right?
Hmm.
And it
Right.
has nothing to do with like Facebook or Google or YouTube or like this is just flat out, this is what you need, right? And then the target is who's the audience, and the targeting goes back to custom audiences that are, set here, Google, Facebook, Twitter, custom audiences, right? And then the ads part is here. And you can't go to the ads part, which is amplification. We call it amplification instead of advertising, unless
Right.
your goals, content, and targeting, which is strategy, and the plumbing is already in place. So if your internal team knows that these four things all have to be in place to then drive repeatable, sustainable, consistent, scalable results, then it's actually pretty easy because you can always go back and identify which item do we not have. And then the client understands because you show them this menu of things. You say, okay, here's our checklist. Here are the ones green check that are done. Red X, here are the ones that we don't have done. And then like, oh, okay, I understand. You didn't put the pixel. That's why we can't do the remarketing. Oh, you didn't give us this video. Then we can't, do the video audiences. We can't do, like then they understand. Oh, the new landing page we were supposed to do. Well, that's why the conversion rate is low because we haven't, done this yet. And that way it's
Right.
yeah, it's very clear. And then you use this DNA framework, this model, whatever you want, your intellectual property. You have this flow through your content to the checklist to the software. So the content is really just a demonstration of your checklist. If you have a checklist, this kind of DNA blueprint to start with, right? Because if you have lots and lots of content and you're interviewing your Lighthouse client, then you're able to that all it's doing multiple things. It's driving inbound leads because if you have one person that's selling on Amazon and like whatever, I don't know whatever the niches are, right? They're selling towels, then you're going to get all the other people that are selling bath and bedroom products. And the whole idea of a lighthouse is you have one, you want to
Right.
do 100 of the same thing, right? You want to do the same thing 100 times. You don't want to do if I just look at your client base, my guess is that they're all different. Like they all do different things. You just
Which is half on purpose, half without purpose. The half the purpose thing is like I mean, me as myself is an unscalable thing, but I really enjoy going into a lot of situations.
but every time you go
Um,
into a new situation, you are opening up risk.
you're
So
opening up another set of SOPs that you need to create.
yeah, and then pretty soon you have a team of 8 or 9 people. How many possible verticals can you possibly hit? So if you want, and I'm like you too. I'm just as guilty. So who am I to try to accuse you of being a hypocrite? Because I just can't help it. I do this for fun. I'm not doing this to make money, which I know is good and bad. I
Yeah,
really don't care about the money. The,
me neither.
but here, look, you you like to like I can tell you're a helper. You learn and you like to be in these different situations. You don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I'm like that too. So the way you handle that without creating undue pressure on your company is you sell consulting separately. Like what we're doing right now, this is consulting. This what we're
Right.
doing now doesn't. It's not tied to a particular process. I mean, we have a process where we're like, we record the call. Like Alex is here and he's taking notes and he's going to send documents to follow up and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But this is not agency execution. This is Dennis just likes talking to interesting people, so he'll take some of them on just to kind of see what's going on. And then I get a better view of kind of the marketplace and see what the issues are, and it's good for me too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I can do whatever I want with my time, just like you. I only want to take the things that are fun. Only want to work with people that are competent and interesting to work with, right? As you should as well. So
Right. So your recommendation is to kind of get a vertical or two to focus on and scale on that, and
yeah,
then maybe go on others.
so you can still do. So here's the nuance: you can still do consulting, but make it very clear the difference between consulting and execution. Execution is we're building campaigns and websites and all these kinds of services because the output of these services is a clear business goal. So here you got AdWords and email campaigns and marketing automation. That's great, and every other agency says they do this too, right? Obviously, they say they do SEO, they do Facebook, they
Of
do.
course, of course, of course, of course.
So when your thing says, "Oh yes, we do this too," "Oh, we make websites," you, no offense, you look just like all the other ones.
Right,
So when you say you do everything, what you're actually saying is you do nothing, which is
right.
kind of counterintuitive because then you're like, well, you would think like the more things we say we do, then the more business we'll get, right? It works the
Hmm.
opposite. You need to focus down on just a couple things because each of these, like people, these e-commerce potential clients, they don't wake up in the morning thinking, hey, I really need Instagram marketing. Oh, I really want marketing automation. I want Infusionsoft and HubSpot and Marketo. They don't. What they think is, damn, I'm so tired. This is so frustrating. I need to grow my business. I'm tired of managing these other idiots. My agency doesn't know what they're doing. I hired this one guy to build my website. He's taking too long, but I can't tell whether I'm not technical, so I don't really know what's going on. Right? That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh, I need to
Hmm.
order more products. Like they're not thinking about digital marketing. You were thinking about digital marketing because that's what you do. But
Right.
promise you, the last thing these people want to do is deal with like pixels and emails and like this package and that. Like that's like the mechanic who's trying to tell the mom who the Mercedes Benz, her station wagon broke down, trying to tell the mom like, oh look at how this engine part works. The mom could give less of a shit, right? They just want the thing to work. They want to make more money. If they could basically drive their car into your shop. I'm using now the car analogy instead of the medical analogy. But if they could drive the car into your shop and then sit there in the lobby while they get entertained and watch TV while you fix the car, and then a few minutes later, hey, I have it fixed. Here it is. Like they don't want to really hear. They just want to pay the bill and keep going, right?
Right. So you suggest, I mean, we as of right now, we do like 99% of what we do is Facebook marketing. Like we don't bother with anything else.
Then don't
We
say
have a couple.
get rid of all these other things and just say Facebook marketing. Hey, are you an e-commerce? You're an e-commerce and you want to drive sales with Facebook, and Facebook is confusing to you. You don't know what to do, and all these other people keep saying random things, and you can't tell. And you've hired some random person, and it wasn't working, or you tried to boost a post and it didn't work. Here is your checklist for Facebook for e-commerce. Right here it is, 12 steps,
Hmm.
whatever. Okay. See all this.
Okay.
All this stuff is like, oh yeah, we do dynamic email campaigns. Oh yeah, 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 we do this too. All this does is hurt you because
Right.
if you don't say what you don't do, then whatever you say you do, people don't believe you.
Right.
And
Okay.
then I come here,
Okay.
and the site looks nice and all this. I'm sure it's responsive and whatever, but and then these testimonials, no one's going to believe any of these, right? Even if
Right. Right. And by the way, I don't know why these are in some of these are in Romanian for some reason, so I'm gonna change them into English. But like you're looking at something right now that's not really a clear representation as of right now of what we do
because it's
because the
referrals
way
and
I
all. Yeah, this is not your website. People don't even go to it, so this is not. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so like right now, I think none of our current clients actually visited our website before
Yeah,
hiring us.
but that's the
None.
thing where I would imagine all the new business runs through you because these other people, they know you and you do good work and you personally put your name on this. And so therefore they send you their friends and then you have to talk to them. But because you don't have a process, you can't easily onboard them and then distribute the work
Hmm.
so that you have a repeatable process with clear expectations on what you do and what you don't do. So then the client's expectations are in alignment with what you deliver. So you've
Right. I
got
mean,
to.
as of right now, I mean, we probably don't have time for this, but if we have some processes in place. When we onboard a client, we ask them, like, we have some forms we do in Podio, which is similar to Basecamp, and
Yeah, I
we
know
ask
for
them
you.
for their client description, customer avatar, like goals and all of that. So we
Yeah.
have some things in place. Um, but like I'm looking for the big picture because as of right now, I see 2 million variables, and the only person that can tackle those is me at the moment.
So you have to
So,
break it into pieces and have people that specialized in each phase. That's what the hospital is, right? The heart surgeon is not the same one who's going to fix the broken finger or something, right? It's different.
right.
You,
Okay.
of course, know how everything fits together, but the last thing you want to do is try to make everybody. There's only one Matthew, and there's only going to be one. Other people can continue to level up and grow their expertise, but you've got to to break things down into simple, repeatable pieces so that people who are brand new to digital in your company, they can execute reliably on simple tasks. And if you break things down into things that are simple and complicated, then you can find success, right? And so
Right.
we've been forced into creating training systems because there's things that are difficult and things that are easy. And let me,
And by the way, in all of this stuff, just a random question
yeah,
popped into my mind. How do you handle in all of these guides the kind of ongoing tasks that happen? Because, for example, the plumbing is only done once. Like, you
right,
know what I mean? Like,
right.
how do you tackle the actual ongoing, like, you need to do this every week, you need to do this every month, or like
Yeah.
whatever? How do you tackle those in these?
Okay. So you see these first five phases are sequential and one time, or actually the first
Right.
four, right? Because obviously, I mean, you will revisit plumbing from time to time, just to because there's a
Of
maybe
course.
these things will adjust a little bit over time, and maybe there's a little bit of content. But once you have the setup, which is plumbing, and the strategy, which is goals, content, and targeting, laid out, the ongoing component is really here in optimization. But you can't move
Right.
like if you're onboarding a new client, you can't move to optimization because you have to get to a steady state. And in the hospital analogy, you have triage, which is you've got to, the patient's about to die of a gunshot wound. You have to stabilize them. You have to make sure they're not bleeding to death. You have to do all these one-time things to get them to a stable point, and then you can have this monthly optimization, or then you have this process to kind of fine tune. But you can't fine tune. Like if you want to have this wooden make this nice wooden sculpture out of a tree trunk, you can't use the
Mm-hmm.
sandpaper and the axe at the same time, right? You need to have the axe, get it close, and then you bring the sandpaper in, right? And
Got it.
it's the
Okay.
same thing. Like these are all one-time things just to like get the thing close. Like actually the first five, yeah, is just to get the thing kind of close, and then you can start to do little testing along the way and scale it out, spend more money, then do the big things, because all the clients, like, you can promise this big picture and all this, but we like to reduce risk, right? The whole idea of reliability and repeatable processes is reduce risk. So we know, I think, like, too, because you do a lot of Facebook too, is remarketing is
Right.
absolutely critical, right? And they don't know
Of
how to do
course.
remarketing, and there's all kinds of remarketing and dynamic ads and things like this.
Of course.
So if you just get that, if you take all the stuff that you do, or say you do, or whatever that's in this list of things, and you trim it down to the thing that is the core, most powerful, drives ROI, most potent, I would think it would have to be dynamic ads on Facebook, right? And
Right.
if you,
That's kind of the edge on e-commerce. Yeah.
so why spend all this time talking about all these other random things? You should be publishing. Well, internally, you need to create these checklists on how do you set up things properly, because people don't know how to set up a catalog, and there's premium feeds, and obviously you can do dynamic on Google and Facebook, right? They don't know how they work together, and then you want to have
Of course. Of
tags.
course. Of course.
So if you have internal checklists on how you do this, and then you publish these as guides, and you pair them up with, I don't mean just publish your guide, but you show like how it's being done for these other companies. Like here's one on Social Media Examiner, and here's an article on how to, like, with examples and screenshots, how to do it. It's great, right?
Right. And how do you like you showed like a big list of websites. Like how do you start to get those? Because putting like again
Oh
putting
yeah,
the on my website, on my personal website, or on the agency website it's I mean it's easy to do and we can
yeah,
do that, but like what is that list of websites you showed and where do you start on those? And
yeah.
because that's kind of the thing you're pointing at,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. How do you go from zero to, like, you're not going to all of a sudden be on Forbes tomorrow? So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I wish you, but that's not how the kind of the stairway works. So we need to
yeah,
start somewhere and go from there.
yeah. I need to pull up this one. This is close enough. Okay. So this is the way to think about it. So remember, we have to start with your personal brand because you are your company to start with until you have multiple. When you have multiple figureheads, then you have a company. But as
Right.
long as there's only one figurehead, and that's you and the company, you are. your personal brand is the company's brand, and that's where all
Right.
your traffic and leads and it's coming from. I know you're not using the website and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so here, you if you have your own plumbing for your personal brand, which is your website and your public figure page and all these kinds of things, and you start
By the
blog.
way, are we gonna get these? Sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting. Are we gonna get
everything
these?
we're looking at, we're going to give you. Alex is going to give you all these.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if and then you have to put out some content, but obviously the content's got to be checklist driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just put out a few of these things saying, and it doesn't have to be like you see some of our checklists are really big. They're like 80 pages. I'm not saying you have to produce things that are 80 pages. It literally can be like the 3 steps on how you put the Facebook pixel on. I don't know, like something like just think of something small, right?
Right. You take small steps and you
Yeah.
you kind of like yeah. Okay.
And then on your blog, the key to move from 2 to 3 is that you interview other people, right? Interview the clients, interview friends, interview competitors, interview like if you look at things properly, you have no competitors. We have no competitors. Guess what? Your
Yeah.
company does Facebook ads, and so do we. We don't view you as a competitor. There's so much business that I could care less. We have plenty of business,
Yeah.
right? No
Yeah.
problem. So
Mhm.
we love helping other people that are in your situation so that they can dominate a niche. We're not trying to own every single niche. That's ridiculous, right? We're
You
just
cannot create all the systems for all the
Yeah,
niches.
exactly. It's too much. And there's too many figureheads that are necessary, right? So you interview these other people. It's fantastic, right?
Right.
And I imagine you have a list. Do you have, or do this before we talk next. Make a list of the 10 people that you think would be most amazing, whether or not you know them or not, to be able to interview them, right? At a conference or whatever it might be.
And who are these people? What are they into? Are they like already experts in Facebook? Are they business owner? Like what?
They're
Who
the
are they?
people that have the most authority against your Lighthouse client. So who would be recognizable, or if based on their history, it could be probably like right. If you want to attract more, whatever your niche is in e-commerce that you do Facebook ads for, maybe Facebook ads for people who are doing at least $2 million and have a product that's over $100, and whatever it is, or it's this kind of product that works better on Facebook, or whatever. Who would be influential to that audience? Then that's who you want, and it could be a mix.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to just be other people who have grown their business from nothing, nothing to like all this money on Shopify and then sold it, or it
So
doesn't
can
have
you
to,
give me an example?
oh, it could be folks at Facebook that are in analytics. It could be people like me. It could be other speakers. They're actually
Right.
usually the easiest ones to interview because they're all trying very hard to become famous. They're usually not, but
Right.
they're trying very hard to be famous. And
Mm-hmm.
could be partners that you work with. So maybe there's software companies. It could be the tools that you use.
Hmm.
If
Oh, by the way, so for example, there's this big SEO company we're partnering it with in January that just pointed that idea out that we should do guest posts and kind of cross post to each other and kind of
yeah,
mutually interview each other.
yeah,
Is that because they have big clients in SEO
uh-huh.
and we have big clients in Facebook and we can definitely kind of
Yeah,
cross sell those clients. So is that a good
yeah.
idea?
It is, and in fact, when you have these kinds of partners, I mean that's great. You have cross promotional articles, but a lot of business owners see through that, right? It's obvious.
Right.
So what you do is you have to have some kind of framework that you're both promoting from, and it's tough to get search and social people together because they see things from a very different view. But
Mm-hmm.
if you say, hey, this is how search and social work together for e-commerce in 2017, in that you know Facebook is great for building audiences, things like lookalikes off of your existing purchasers that drive people to the site, and then they're more likely to search for your name, and that's when SEO starts to take impact. Because when customers leave reviews, then the search engines notice this because it's more content and you have more links, all this, and this is how search and social work together. Search is at the bottom of the funnel, and you know that certain like brand search terms convert better for you. Well, how do you drive more brand search terms? Well, you need to have stuff in the middle of the funnel to then drive Google at the bottom of the funnel, right? Oh, you can use YouTube for remarketing. You can do so if you have a checklist that you guys are a common checklist that you and your partner are working from, you can create content off that. And I would say if they're a partner of yours, and you're working together actually, then you'd have to have a checklist anyway on how you execute, on how, like, this is how we work together on projects. This is our checklist on what we do, and this is your checklist. And then when we finish this piece, step number 5, then it moves
Too
over to
many
you.
checklists.
Yeah, it's all checklists. It all ends up being checklists. I know people don't
How?
like that because they want some sexy magic secret, but the answer is
Of course,
checklists.
of course, of course. Yeah, I understand it. What I'm trying to get to is some action steps, you
Ah,
know? Because I totally agree with the checklist being the reason I'm on the call with you, right?
yeah, yeah.
Even if I don't like it, I like, okay,
You
we
have
gotta
to.
do this, right?
Yeah.
Right? We gotta
Not
do this
sexy.
because I understand the importance of it. It's survival, it's survivalism importance level.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's totally true, but like, um, what do we do next? Like, what are some really, like, how do we look at what we're doing and actually boil it down to checklists? What are the most important checklists to do?
So I'm
Because
going.
there's so many like
Yeah, I know.
strategy
Yeah.
and like optimization and ad creation and copywriting and
Yeah.
there's like, you know what I mean?
Baby
So,
steps. Yeah. Some. Yeah. Obviously, you could spend years of people just trying to go through the checklist that we built. Good luck. But yeah, for right now, the most important things you need to do: one, identify your lighthouse client of all your clients.
okay,
Choose one, whoever that company is. That's the one. Two.
could I, okay,
Yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I wanted to ask you like, could I tell you what are like
Yeah.
main three clients, and you kind of like give us an opinion on that?
Sure.
Um, so for example, here's so we have my Greenfields, which is like they just like received like $1 or $2 million investment. They're like going big.
Uh huh.
That could be a lighthouse client. Then we have for example, I've just finished working with some people that have done an Indiegogo campaign on a documentary based on Think and Grow Rich and raised almost $400,000. Is not here,
No on
but
that.
it's
No, not scalable. Anything that's a startup, anything that's like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, it's not repeatable because it's hit or miss. It's a startup. You want, as your lighthouse client,
hmm
you want
hmm
someone. Actually, what you do is this: if you really want to do the exercise, it depends on how many clients you have. But if you have more than a dozen clients, you're going to want to do this exercise, which we've never talked about.
hmm
But I've coached a lot of people like you through this, and you'll find it's very helpful. You
right.
list all of your clients. So just kind of picture, I know we're not sitting together, but if we were sitting together, you would see me draw this on the board. You list out
Yes.
all of your clients vertically, so they're rows, right? All the names of these clients. Then
Right.
have 4 columns. And column 1 is how attractive is this? Like how big is the market? How, like, the fact that you talk about, green fills, is that something that other people would find attractive, right?
Right.
And would they find it like interesting? Like the thing we have with the Golden State Warriors is very attractive because it's like, oh wow, it's very successful. They're a
Yeah.
well-known organization.
hmm
Obviously, there's a lot of complexity, right?
hmm
2 is how difficult is it? Oh, by the way, scale of 1 to 5. Okay,
Right.
and
Okay.
2 is how difficult is it to execute? So, like this marketizer, I would marketizator. They
They have a different name now, but yeah.
Oh, they are. I can't even say it. They
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah. That's why
B2B
they change it.
SaaS is usually very difficult to execute because there's
hmm
multiple steps and they don't have content. They're usually hard to work with. There's other systems like marketing automation that make it more difficult, and they don't know what the value of a lead is, and they don't know how to do webinars. And so, how difficult is it to execute? I would think
hmm
like things that are consumer products related to food and pets and entertainment and things that have a really high margin and not a lot of competitors, they're really easy to execute, where you just basically do Facebook ads, dynamic ads, like whatever, and remarketing, just simple remarketing, drive sales. They're dumb. It's very easy. You make money, right? So, 1 to
Right.
5, how easy is it? And
Right.
the third one is how much profit do you make off of it? Is it like a big client? Is it a little client? Um, is it where there's lots and lots of them, but you only make a little bit of money because they only can spend a few $1,000s a month? Or is it where there's only a few of them, but they spend a lot of money? Or there's kind of like market opportunity, right?
hmm
Profitability. So then you take these 3 columns and you add up the numbers 1 to 5. In each of the columns you score 1 to 5. On one
Right.
is one is not one is bad. and 5 is very good.
Hmm.
So then you add up the numbers across each of your columns, and the maximum is 15 and the minimum is 3. And you will notice that if you take all of your clients, there'll be a pattern. There'll be like 2 or 3 of them where the overall score is very high. And that's what, and then you choose one that's your lighthouse. Does that make sense?
Right. Then in that case, my greenfield is definitely the best one because this company is definitely going to be really big in short time. Like they got big investors in their back. Like we're doing, and like this one makes sense. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So okay, as we said, step one is choose your lighthouse client. Step two is choose a part of the process, not the whole thing, because you don't have time to sit down and because you're busy doing all these other things. Choose a part
Yeah.
of the process that where you think the I don't want to say secret sauce, but where the most important part is for people to know, and also what may potentially be driving the most ROI. I would think like what we said before, it's that loop of how do you do Facebook remarketing and extend it into things like lookalikes, right?
Hmm.
So just document
Yeah.
that. Make a guide that has screenshots. If you want, you can use our guides too and put in your examples. I think that our stuff is solid architecturally, and all you have to do is swap out the different examples for different verticals because the idea of like the 6 phases and all this is it's the same thing. You're still going to
Yeah.
drop
I
in
mean,
your pixels. You're still going to do all these things.
yeah, the structure is the same. I mean, we like to think that we're doing a lot more complex stuff on the creative and all that stuff, which is true, but it's the same structure.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of the client thinking like, "Oh, why are you doing the same thing for us?" or "Why is this like all like generic and there's no thinking?" That they won't.
Hmm.
They really they don't care about unless it's a really big company, like a multi-billion-dollar company. It's like Amazon. You take on Amazon as a client directly, then they want to be innovative. Like those people, like Procter
Hmm.
and Gamble, they want to do like the latest things and they want to win awards. But I would think your stuff is more like mid-market, small to mid-market,
Right. Right,
and
like 5 to 25 to 50 to 100 million a year company.
yeah. So they don't care about trying to win awards at the marketing conferences. They
No, that's not in their stock meeting. No, they're not.
Yeah. So then what they want to know is that you can reliably drive results because next month they need or they have to figure out their budget for next year or something like this. And they need to have some kind of plan. And
Yeah.
with no plan, then their plan is to spend whatever they spent last year and hope it's better, which is not a plan. It's
Hmm.
stupid. So
Hmm.
you, you can adapt any of the things that we have. Some of them are pretty rough and some of them I think are pretty smart. But we have an onboarding thing, so you want to figure out which of these. Think of this as like we like to call it the 1,000 ingredient checklist, like this kitchen that has everything possibly you could ever make. I mean, but if you just want to make a cheeseburger, then you don't. There's only certain ingredients that you need, right? You don't need every ingredient from the kitchen to make a meal.
Right.
It's nice to know that your kitchen does have sriracha sauce if you happen to want that. But you're not. If you want a chocolate milk, you're not going to add sriracha sauce. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So you want to build out these ingredients that you have and start with creating checklists against little checklists that are just 5 or 6 steps against any one of these particular things, right?
Right.
And then you can remember we said content checklist software. Okay, your content is the provable execution of the checklist on that Lighthouse client. Your checklist
Right.
is your lead magnet because then they see the article on how this happened or how that, like whatever it is, you publish this, you speak at
Hmm.
Affiliate Summit, whatever it
Hmm.
is, right? Affiliate Summit is not even a place to gather to get clients. I don't know why people even go there. So, so you have the checklist, and that the checklist is how you're able to set the expectation with that client on what you do. And even if the referral didn't come through the web or it came through email or you're having drinks with a friend and they said, "Hey, you need to meet my friend Matthew. He's so good," you
Right.
still need to share, say, "Hey, that is awesome." And here's where you play reverse psychology. We don't work for everybody because for us to execute our process and deliver guaranteed success, we need certain things from you. And there's certain things that
Hmm.
we do, and there's certain things that you do, and there's certain things that we don't do. And then when you say that, the reverse psychology works because the client thinks, "Oh, okay, cool." Now they're unlike all these other people that say, "Yes, we do that too." "Oh yeah, yeah, we do SEO." "Oh yeah, we do email marketing." "Oh yeah, we make websites." Now I actually trust this guy because it sounds like they have a process. Sounds like it's very clear. They've done it multiple times. They've got it documented. and they've made it clear like what, and I feel like I can have confidence that they're going to be able to execute because they've said like this is what has to happen at each step, and here it is. And then when you send that to them before you get on the phone with them the first time, then you don't have to spend time explaining your company and, oh, we do Instagram, oh, we do Twitter too. Oh, like, can you imagine, right? The nurse in the emergency room saying, hey, this is, someone who's dying of gunshot wound. Hey, would you also like to get your nails fixed? Hey, would you like to get your hair cut? Hey, would you like, no, I'm dying. I really, I have pain in my chest and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but maybe I'm having a heart attack. They're trusting that, they don't want Instagram marketing or Facebook ads away. That's just more expense and more complexity. They want sales, right? They want
Right.
to reduce the headache. They want you, the emergency room is to save the patient, to keep them from dying, and to eliminate pain, right?
Right.
When you come in with your checklist, then this creates significant comfort because you would not want to go to the hospital and the doctor says, this is my first time. I would like to try this new procedure that no one's ever done. It might kill you, it might not, but I would just like to try something randomly, okay? The
Right.
last
No,
thing you want is like
yeah,
innovation.
that's so true.
You do not want innovation in online marketing because it just creates too much risk. I
Right.
really hate innovation. I love to do things that are repeatable, and business owners
Right.
identify with that. So when they know that you've done, I don't know if you've done like LASIK or whatever, but a lot of my friends have had LASIK, LASIK surgery, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the,
I haven't, but yeah.
but you know what it is, like it's been done, I don't know how many times, like lots of millions and millions of times. I guess it is so routine. It's like a lot of things like, to have an appendectomy is routine where you just go in there, there's no drama. No one's like, oh, this is like some like crazy, head transplant kind of surgery. Like, no, it's like very routine. This is what we do. This is how long it's going to take. This is what's going to cost, right? Expect that, then you're going to stay at home. You're going to take these particular drugs to heal up, And so you just make
Mm-hmm.
it very, very calm. This is what we do. And then that is completely opposite, Matthew, from these other internet marketers that make it sound like, oh wow, look at this magic secret. Oh, look over here. Look at this. Like that. You're like all these social media expert guru people. They don't have process. They don't have repeatable results. They don't have a team. They don't document anything. And it's the fact that you are quietly sharing expertise that causes all these other people, if you've identified a Lighthouse client and have published these pieces, it causes all of them to want to come to you.
Right. And okay, that makes sense. And it's certainly probably completely opposite to what we were doing, which is the reason I'm listening. So that's nice. Um, a couple of things. So regarding the like, okay, let's just say we have the client we want to go out with, and it's probably been my greenfields because I'm really good friends with this person, and
Good.
it's gonna be like a great journey for us as well. Like in terms of like specifics, um, you said to start with my personal website brand.
Yeah.
Um,
And you interview your
regarding
buddy.
that,
Yeah, interview your
yeah.
buddy here about, well, get your checklist going first before you do these other things, right? And then you would establish, Alex will send you the personal branding guide. Go through that. There's actually a
Hmm.
30-minute video there at the beginning of the personal branding guide that you should watch that talks about this content strategy in more detail, about the topics, how you
Right.
organize the topics and the checklists and this kind of thing.
Hmm.
And once you have your basic plumbing in place, this is the guide, right? You can just go through this. There's this video. Watch this video here. See this?
So this will elaborate
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Do that, and just go through as many of these pieces as you can. And of course, authority. Remember, I said authority. Like eventually, you're going to get onto the big properties, but you're going to start by your own. Then you guest post. Then you do webinars with your partners, right? Because the SEO people should be happy to do a webinar with you if you have your
Hmm.
process in advance that you're working together on, right? Don't just do
Right.
webinars if you don't have a process. Then you're just confusing people, right?
Right. So on the webinar, share an actual process that is going to be
Yeah.
relatable to the people from SEO. Okay, got it.
Which also is a lead magnet at the same time, which is great for both of you, right? It's fantastic.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how the content works together because you're showing proof. Remember, we said content checklist software, right? And then the
Right.
people are the ones that connect both of these sides together. The people is your network, and that's how you build your personal brand is through other people that you're associated with, and then the people that are behind these other companies. It's not that companies associate with companies. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody understands this. People connect with people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you representing increased media connect with so and so of these other companies, right? And that's how the companies connect is through you. You interview these different people, and then these people will interview you on their things and have you speak at their conferences and vice versa, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
that's how you share content together.
Mm-hmm.
So when you,
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I actually like in my head in my strategy like 2017 I was like I told you at the beginning I was really going out. I mean I'm still am, but I'm telling you if this fits in this or not. Like regarding building my own personal brand, it should be only with Facebook because I feel like there's so much more I will probably be able to share and
You have time.
like
Sounds like you don't have enough time to do all that. You have to focus for now. You can
I mean
always do other stuff later, but take the best stuff that you know and record a series of 1 minute videos that you put on your public figure page that you then boost.
mhm.
If you want to cover other topics, that's great, but make sure you don't lose sight of the core revenue driver, which is Facebook ads for e-commerce, right? If you go way too outside of that, then you're going to end up where you are now, which is a random mix of different things, and then you have no scale.
Right. So, for example, me going out and creating like a 50,000 person YouTube channel about uh like me like vlogging, traveling, business, kind of like all
No,
this stuff, all these things, and
no,
and
you're not.
bring all that back.
Don't do that. Why would you do that?
I mean, I talk with like a lot of people that have like immense amounts of subscribers, and they're really, I mean, they seem knowledgeable, and they tell me that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, but those people, a lot of them come to us. They may have a lot of traffic, and even the worst ones are the podcasters, where they have lots and lots of people that tune in every week. Ask them how much money they make. Ask them what their business model is, and they will look at you funny because they have lots of traffic and they are not monetizing it. You
Right.
run a business.
I mean, the person I talked to is Daryl Eves, if you know the guy,
Oh.
like probably the biggest figure in YouTube marketing. He has like 400,000 subscribers or something.
Yeah, but then he's known for that one thing. Like you don't
And
have the time or the resources to chase multiple things. It's not that you don't
mm,
want to do that; it's that you have other things that are higher priority.
right, but like I'm just asking, will that hurt things? Like building this high like high awareness brand and then kind of
Unless you're really
also
good. If you're really good and you're super charismatic and people laugh at your funny things, do it. But if not, it's just going to pull away focus from critical things you need to do.
and doing both will hurt. Like for example, if I am putting myself out as knowledgeable in these things, but at the end of the day, I'm this Facebook guy, I'm this agency guy, whatever, and kind of like putting content in both directions. But at the end of the day, like I tell others that I'm the expert in Facebook ads for e-commerce. Do you think will that hurt? Because I mean, it's like 30 or 40% of me that just wants to build the brand of myself through vlogging, through all this stuff. And I just
Do it.
wanted to
Yeah, do it as you
know,
travel, do it as you meet other people, but make sure that what you have does eventually tie back to what your value proposition. Otherwise, you're managing two brands. So,
okay,
question: does
okay,
it hurt? Yes, if it doesn't tie back to what you're doing. So, I do a lot of traveling and speaking and all that kind of stuff too. But
mm-hmm,
but if you see the stuff that I'm posting, that I'm hanging out with GoDaddy or whatever because they're friends of mine. Well, guess what? That actually is
right.
tying into stuff that we're actually doing. Now
Oh,
people
of
go,
course, I will still keep it aligned, but I just like I really resonate with that side, right? And I just want to make sure like business goals oriented it's something good because I'm still going to tie all the content back to clients, back to Facebook, back to, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm still going to talk sometimes about marketing. I'm still
Yeah,
going to
yeah, do
talk
that.
sometimes.
You can do part of it. Just don't let the thing get so big that you try to become a personality, whatever, kind of thing. Like, just make sure you're like 70% talking about this stuff. And you're right. To be human, they need to see that you're vulnerable or that maybe you like donuts or like, something that's kind of not right. Yeah.
Right,
They want to know that
right.
you're human, right? Sometimes, people's like if I look at some of the things that I've produced that over the years that have gotten the most traffic, sometimes it's really dumb things. Like,
Right.
hanging out at Google and making fun of the self-driving cars. Like, I don't know why people find that funny, but people find it
Mm-hmm.
funny. Good for them, you know?
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure on that because it's something I'm going to put it out of effort and starting next year. Like I've hired people, video editors and stuff for all of that,
Yeah,
and I just wanted to make sure if it kind of fits. In my brain, it fits, but
yeah,
again, that's not why I'm here. So, that's that. And also, how do we get? So we started with the client. We started putting out content and kind of creating the checklist for the things we've done with them.
right.
Where do we, I mean, you said we're gonna, oh, by the way, who's gonna create all these checklists? Is it good for me to do it? Is it good for me with an employee that understands structure and organizing better than me to do it? Like,
Yeah,
how would you?
you lay out, you like literally, I will write checklists in a matter of 15 or 20 minutes because in the course of executing, maybe I just, get on GoToMeeting and I just spend 5 minutes saying this is how I do something. We do a lot of training calls, but you should be the one because you have the most expertise, right? The idea of learn, do, teach, whoever has the most expertise is the one who's got to
Mm-hmm,
document. You lay
mm-hmm,
out the initial framework, but then someone else, maybe they're a graphics designer, maybe they're an operations person where they know enough kind of, or they've done it, but not as good as you. Then they come in and clean it
mm-hmm,
up. They add in the screenshots, they add in the little explanations, they add in links to where there's more detail, right? But you have to get it started, just like a rough framework. Maybe you put in
mm-hmm,
an hour for each. Maybe you have 3 or 4 little checklists. You just put in an hour for each one. And
mm-hmm.
someone comes in and cleans it up and updates it because Google and Facebook, they change things all the time. So you have to update your screenshots and keep everything inside your Basecamp Google Docs or Podio, whatever you're doing, right? So
Right, 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 right.
you need someone operationally to keep things up to date, but you have to start the process so that other people see an example. Like they could listen to our call here, which Alex will send out later, and they can look at our
Mm-hmm,
checklist to see how we've done it. And you feel free, by the way. In fact,
mm-hmm,
the best answer to your question is feel free to take any of our checklists and just go ahead and plagiarize and put your logo on it and cut out the things that don't relate to you and adjust things as you see fit. I would say you would still need the same 6 phases, right?
yeah, I mean, I would not want to do that, even though I can, because there's a lot of individuality that is just lost when you do that. So,
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying,
But just
it's
as a very
ultimately the.
rough guideline, I'm not saying completely copy, but just I think that the 6 phases, like you roughly, well, you can turn it into 8 phases or 4 phases or what, but you still need to have a general framework, and then you can add more things in the different sequences, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I'm
And if
just
you're looking
naming
to
them
build
basically in my head.
like
Hmm.
here, right? Like, so we have you'll have the particular things are going to be different, but it's going to be very hard to avoid things like Google Analytics and the remarketing pixel. I mean, some of these things they just are what they are. You just have to have them.
Yeah,
Other
yeah,
things
yeah.
are kind of optional because you can rearrange the order. You can onboard clients differently. There's things that are vertically different, right? That are because
Hmm.
ours is sort of on like any industry, like not just e-commerce, right? A
Hmm.
lot of the stuff that
Hmm.
we're doing isn't going to really matter to you.
Right.
But if you want something, I think it's always easier to start by looking at someone else's stuff than it is completely blank page trying to make something new. You know?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm just saying that I wouldn't, even if I can, I would not want to completely copy what you're doing because, like, I would feel like there's a lot of things that will be just lost within that. But we're
Yeah.
certainly gonna like definitely use the structure because that's the reason, right?
Yeah.
So,
So you've got some homework to do. Why don't you put some documents together? You can start. They'll be rough. Obviously, you're going to iterate. It's going to take multiple iterations. You're going to create some articles that eventually you'll publish. You'll have your personal brand grow at the same time that you're building these kinds of pieces. And then when you feel like
mhm.
there's a good checkpoint, let's go ahead and have the second half of our call. And let's review what you have. And, you'll have questions and I may have some comments.
That's awesome. I mean, we have a lot of kind of SOPs in place, but knowing this, we're gonna go at recreating them and creating new ones to paint the whole picture because we don't have the whole picture
So
in
you
an
have
SOP.
SOPs, right? You have standard operating procedures that are probably, I haven't seen them, but I'm going to guess that they're more kind of internal execution. Think about how you
Hmm.
layer in the sort of the explanations of different pieces, more of the strategic piece on top of just the pure tactical click here, click here. so that then you can publish it on various other sites. Because if you've got the SOPs, great. Now you've got to clean them up and tie them into what we call content checklist software, right?
So take actually
Then
be
it
able to
becomes your
take
marketing.
them and
Yeah.
promote them.
Your SOPs are actually the heart of your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the
Mm.
heart of how you onboard the right people. Because if your execution, like what you do with checklists, is out of sync with the kind of clients that you have or the inbound funnel because of your marketing, if those are out of sync, you're going to drive yourself a lot of garbage and a lot of headache. They have to be in sync.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And the kind of SOPs we have, they're just like little PCs of something. They're just like how to, uh, I don't know, how to create a thumbnail or how like so little things that
Yeah,
they
little
don't
things like
even
this.
matter.
Take these little things and put them into an overall architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Have these like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
how to create a thumbnail or how to set up a WordPress site or how to whatever. And if you don't figure out how to put them all into a single thing where you can sequence it, then you have randomness.
Right.
You
And
have to know when
by
you
the way,
use one thing.
I don't see strategy in this. Like who creates the actual like because even though you get the same client, that there's still strategy differences, right? Like who
Yeah.
creates that?
The client is responsible for strategy. So we call strategy the combination of goals, content, and targeting. Okay. And we have everyone come to this, which we're working on. It's not very nice, but it's a good start. Blitzmetrics.com/GCT. And that's where we ask people, we get them to fill out all the stuff on, we want them to quantify their goals, content, and targeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see here, if I do, well, this thing's loading too slow, but I can pull up examples of we get the form back when people fill it out, and we can quickly see if people are qualified or not. If it's something we can
Mm-hmm.
take, and it's the same thing as um, you run in the emergency room, and these random people are coming in, and some are very desperately about to die, and they need help, and other people they hurt their arm, and they could wait a little bit. So
Right. Okay. Got it. Got it.
you need an
Got
intake
it.
where they have to. You don't just get on the phone and talk to people. I know, like you probably want to because you don't want to appear like you're being bureaucratic, but you absolutely remember your time is very valuable. You are the head emergency surgeon in the operating room or whatever. So you cannot just
Right.
go out there and talk to random people. You need, in order for you to be able to help them, you've got to, right? Because do you think the surgeon will just start operating? No, they have to collect the blood, do the X-ray. They have to collect this stuff here first, right? You have a
They have to know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like so the patient says, no, 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 I have a heart attack. I need you to do this kind of operation right now. The doctor's not going to say, oh, okay, cool, we'll just do the heart attack operation. Like, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to collect your blood. We're going to, make sure that that's what it is, as opposed to you have angina or, upset stomach, and we're not going to do a heart operation, even though you think it's a heart attack. It's
Right. Right. So
the
that they
client.
know they're gonna give you a result.
Yeah, when you do this thing here, like on your website where it says, oh, we do Instagram marketing and email and SEO and all this, the client comes in and they say, hey, we really need help with Instagram marketing. But then they fill out goals, content, and targeting. And you take a look at their statistics, their vitals. You put the X-ray up on the screen. You look and you say, oh, you know, actually, Instagram marketing isn't what you need. What you really need is your website's too slow. So your bounce rate's too high, or whatever is going. This other thing is actually the problem, right?
Right. 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 Yeah. That's so true.
Because
Okay.
you don't want to
I
go there
want
and
to keep.
argue with them, right? You want to
Mm-hmm.
have a very a an objective way of determining what's going on. And if you don't preemptively give them this menu, this way that you execute, then they will drag you in every random direction. You will waste your time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Then I have a lot of things to do then.
Yeah. But the thing is, you have successful pieces. You couldn't have gotten to where you are without that. Now,
Yes.
time to organize.
Yeah, time to like the way I feel is look at the success path and just take all the steps I have gotten into doing that, which is so hard for me,
Mhm.
but thank God I
So
have
busy
amazing people
executing.
with me.
You're
So,
so busy. You're in the details. There's this, there's that. Sometimes, like right now, the last week of the year is a very good time to just step back for a moment, take a breath, take a bigger picture, and say, look, I've been so busy running. I've been so forest through the trees. I need to step back and think, what are the things that have worked really well that I can repeatedly do at scale? And that's what we call amplification, right? The idea of
Hmm.
amplification is not just running Facebook ads. It's taking the things that have worked well and trying to do that more often or trying to do it better, right? If you got this one
Right.
thing where you're like really good at doing Facebook remarketing or the thing that really makes the clients happy, or if you find, just like I told you, that little grid on determining which of the clients are the best Lighthouse ones, if
Right.
you sometimes have to step back and think strategically, and then you'll see the bigger trend. And if you take all of your different processes and you figure out what the value, like which of these processes are really the ones that make you money and make the clients happy, until you put them all in a single map like this, you're not going to be able to see where the pieces connect.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Okay,
All right.
Dennis, I have a lot of things to do. Um,
Feel like you got some
as
value
soon
here? This is part one of two.
Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna get all those things done, but I'm gonna throw some stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and adjust and kind of create these things because this is important. And as soon as I have, I can probably get back to you and let's see what's if it's good or bad, you know?
Well, I'll give you some final advice
Hmm.
because when it could be a client or it could be like one of the young adults going through our program, that people get overwhelmed, right? Because then they came
Hmm.
in for a little bit of help and then we just open up their mind to all this other stuff they didn't even realize. And they have to agree it's logically true. This is logical. You cannot disagree if you're a logical person, right?
No, yeah, this is true. I don't like it, but this is true.
Yeah, as you know, you have to go get your teeth cleaned. You don't want to visit the dentist, but if you would like to keep your teeth, you have to visit the dentist. So,
Right,
so the way,
right.
so the first thing is right. There's kind of an overwhelm because and then people sort of inherently, especially the creative people, they like to have their freedom and they want to do things uniquely, and so checklists feel kind of limiting because then it's like
Hmm.
for all the different reasons they can't be artistic, right? But once you overcome that, you realize there's two things. One is that you're not going to try to do everything at once. You're just going to iterate. The whole idea of iteration is you just take baby steps, and just by the fact that you do a little bit of it, you document a few things. You take some of your SOPs and you start to put them into like an overall master list, like this kind of thing. And it's not going to be
Hmm.
complete or whatever, but the fact that you start with your personal brand, the fact that you start looking at my Greenfield or whoever, and you interview them, and fine, maybe the video's not perfect, maybe everyone's busy, maybe there's all these kinds of limiting things that is part of reality, but you get something
Hmm.
done. You get something. As long as you get something, and you make progress every day, you
Hmm.
spend 30 minutes to an hour every day. Some days you're busy, some days you have more time, but try to consistently. The thing is not like, oh well, I'm really busy this week. I'm going to put it off to next week. Like if you do that too many times, you're never going to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay,
my
no,
buddy Fishkin, like
yeah,
my buddy Rand and his mom Jillian, they started SEO Moss, right? Which is now
right.
Moss. And their little secret, which Rand has said multiple times, people they like his celebrity so much they seem to have forgot the obvious or the things that don't appear as sexy. The way they were able to get this community off the ground was that he spent 1 hour every day writing an article. At the end, it didn't matter if it was 2 o'clock at night and he was tired. He sat down and he made sure he got his article out, even if it was crap, even if he didn't really know what to say. He got an article out every day,
Right.
and that's the key. Every day you have to iterate a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
the whole. Oh my goodness, this mountain is so high. I'll never be able to get to the top of this mountain. It's just a few steps every day. But the key is every day put in 30 minutes to an hour. Don't worry about how far away the top of the mountain is.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna think about it too much. I'm just gonna do it and
Exactly.
I'm gonna
You know
put
you
it a
have to do it. It's logical. So just make steps every day. You'll get there as fast as you get there.
hmm.
And when
And
you're ready,
regarding,
let us know. We'll get together and have our follow-up call. But don't feel
Mhm.
like you have to have this ready in a week from now or something like that. It's better.
We're not.
It's
We're
better to do
not.
it right than it is to be fast and have garbage.
Right. Right.
You're a
Okay.
healthy business.
And
It's not like you're in an emergency where like you have to turn around something by January 1st, right? So you have the
oh
time,
no. I mean, I'm looking at this like if we can get it kind of done in 3 months, you know what I mean? Like in my head, it looks like such a big deal. If we can get it kind of done in 3 months, I'm really happy.
This took us years, Matthew. I mean, do you think the stuff that we have just happened in 3 months? Hell no.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, because like this stuff is hard. That's why people don't do it.
Well, they want the sexy shortcut. That's why they go to conferences. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. But by the way, two quick things.
Yeah.
So regarding that, like I'm just gonna like I'm not gonna think about it too much. I know how my brain works and how my team works, so I'm gonna just we're gonna get to work. Like don't think about it, just do it, and we're gonna get better as we do it. Regarding the interview that you said with the client,
Yeah.
um, do I do that on video or do I interview them and make an article about it? Because I can do both. Like
Yeah, video is
what you
best.
said,
Start
like
with video because you can always transcribe it.
right. So just have an interview with the client, ask them where they were at,
Yeah,
how
don't
they're
make the hard
now,
article because then they're busy and they don't want to sit down and write an article. Literally say, hey, do we have 20 minutes? 20 minutes on Skype, and here's some questions I want to ask you. They're like, oh, okay. Then they answer the questions,
and
and then you transcribe it.
ask them about what?
Well, ask them about who they are and what's their business, and
Okay,
pretend
got
like
it.
you're a
So
journalist.
okay, logical questions. Okay, got
Yeah,
it. So just like where they were, how they're now, how things have changed. Okay, got it.
yeah.
And
And then
therefore, okay.
at the end of it, you want to make sure to weave in and do it naturally, of course. Weave in things that tie back to your process. Now, if you have been executing with the client according to your process, or at least if this is a friend who is willing to say that they did execute on this process that wasn't documented until now, then
Mm-hmm.
that is your lead magnet because eventually when you ask them questions about well, what did what was good or what was the surprise or whatever it is, they're going to point back to this checklist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how you
Okay.
get content, checklist, software. And instead of software for you, it's going to be package. So you're going to go content, checklist, package. Because when other people for your you put this out there, and then other potential ones that are like my greenfield, they're like, oh wow, I want the same result. That's very logical. And then they're going to look at this checklist, they're going to download it, and they're going to say, oh my god, this is like complicated. But I know I need this. I'm going to have to hire the increase
Mm-hmm.
guys to do this for me, right? That's how you
Which is
sell
exactly what
packages.
happened.
You sell
Mm-hmm.
packages off of the checklist, but with no packages, you everyone's random, everyone's custom. You have no idea.
Right. Okay. And do I post this on the Increase Media page,
Yep,
but we post this also on, I mean, website. We post this also on my personal brand
yep,
and use that kind of the big leverage because people like people, which is true.
yes.
Okay. Well, I'm done. That's great, man.
That's plenty. We can go on for on and on, but I think you have. Yeah, there's plenty of work for
No,
you.
that's enough. That's
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, that's enough. I have 6 months worth of So,
All right.
so yeah, Dennis, thanks a lot. I think that made a lot of sense. I mean, my colleagues probably had questions, but they're probably like, we got it. So if you can send us all this stuff, like those website, these guys, like this is amazing.
Yep.
Um, and we're gonna get to work.
Let's do it.
And
I'm
and
excited.
and by, and by the way, I'm gonna be in northern US. Like from January 2nd to January 15th, I'm going to be in the US. I'm going to be in Traverse City to on a client, and I'm going to be in LA. So if you're in any of those places, I would really like to say hi or something
Yeah,
if you're
send me your
there.
schedule. I travel a lot, so there's a good probability I'll be in one of those cities at some point.
So yeah, we'll just see. If that happens, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
would just want to say hi in person and thank you.
yeah,
So
that's the invite.
um,
Yeah.
so thanks a lot. We're gonna get to work and get back to you.
All right.
And we wish you the best in 2017, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm excited.
I, I am too. Let's see if we can get these checklists done because the rest is settled.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks for staying up late.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, good night.
Have a good
All
day,
right, bye,
guys. And you
Matthew.
and bye bye, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good day.